Like, he's right there with Mahomes talent-wise, but he just shoots himself in the foot way too often. Welcome to the jungle, everyone. I'm Kyle Phelps, and it's been too long since I stirred the pot a little bit. I've seen this quarterback tier list going around in the NFL, and I think it's a little ridiculous. Today, we're going to be ranking the presumed quarterbacks in the NFL in like my tier list style that I like to do ahead of the 2023 season. I'm sure it's going to be just warmly received by everyone, and no one is going to call me a moron or a homer or a hater or anything like that in the comments. Yeah. But before we jump into it, I just like to ask that you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the content. It really helps my channel grow, and it helps you know when all of my content comes out. So if any of you are familiar with my power ranking series, you know that the way I generally like to do this is that I break them down into tiers, and then I try to put more focus on the tiers that actually matter. Although, you know, we'll definitely mention everybody because that's kind of the whole point of doing everybody, right? So I've got 8 tiers in this list, and there's a lot of nuance going on here. I don't really have time to go through all of it, so let's start with a quick overview of the bottom 4 tiers. So the first tier is just basically lumping all of the unknown guys together, right? Like, we have no idea what's happening with these guys. I mean, we can project based off of, you know, like some film and stuff that we've seen, but like actually knowing what they're going to perform like as consistent starters in the NFL, that's all the rookie starters plus Jordan Love and Sam Howell. There's just no way. I mean, like, listen to how ridiculous this sounds, right? Like, there's no way that Jordan Love could ever live up to Aaron Rodgers, you know? CJ Stroud just not going to make it. He's not an NFL quarterback. Like, I mean, you know, I have some opinions about certain guys, but you see how ridiculous some of this stuff sounds? Like, you know, we're just going to go ahead and leave that alone for now. So the real bottom tier is why? Like, why was this guy your plan going into the season? The exception being Ryan Tannehill, because, like, I don't actually know if he's the plan or not right now. Like, if he is, then why? Why? Also, to be clear about this tier, I am a known Baker Mayfield sympathizer. I'm not sure what he has left to give. You know, like, the Browns ruined him, and the rest of the NFL used him up and threw him away. So, I don't know what much he has left to give, you know? Like, what are the Buccaneers building around here? And if it's Baker Mayfield, like, why? Are you tanking? So the placeholder tier is basically just a bunch of guys that, like, I don't believe in at all, and I think teams need to have a succession plan for. But, I mean, I guess they're fine to hold the fort down for now, right? Like, I really don't need to explain much more than that. Go cry about it in the comments. Kyler Murray actually gets his own tier because, like, I mean, I think he's a decent answer for the Cardinals, right? But, like, I definitely don't think he's underrated. I think he gets the proper amount of criticism. Kind of overrated, actually, in some cases. You know, Daniel Jones, too, which is why I put him in the Kyler Murray tier. Speaking of underrated, I don't think that these guys are ever going to be, like, the guy for their franchise, but I definitely think that they deserve more respect than they get. Like, I mean, obviously Deshaun Watson doesn't deserve, you know, respect for, you know, non-football related reasons, but, like, on the field, I think people were too ready to bury him last year, and I don't ever think he's going to be back to his old elite self, but I do think he'll probably be the best quarterback that the Cleveland Browns have had ever since they returned to the league. Same goes for Russell Wilson and the Broncos, except obviously that last part because of Peyton Manning. So this is where things really start getting fun. My next category is those next level guys. They're absolute game changers for their organization. I don't think they're quite on the elite level, you know? Like Tua, for example. I actually think he might need to be in his own category because he's like somewhere kind of between underrated and next level. Like he is next level. I think he's a really good quarterback, guys. I don't know what you're actually going to get out of him at this point because of all the injuries he's had, especially those head injuries. And then the Dolphins. Like, I just think the Dolphins are a terrible situation. Jalen Hurts, also another guy. He has elite potential for sure. But, like, we only really recently discovered his elite potential. So, like, how good can he be? That's really the question. So, another season like last year, and I'll bump him up in the next tier. But for now, it's just like, I don't know just yet. Was it a one-year wonder, or is he going to do it more consistently? We'll see. Now, Aaron Rodgers, it was kind of tough with him, man. Like, I'm of the belief that I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to live up to the hype in New York. Partially because the hype is just so enormous right now, and in general, free agent quarterbacks need at least a year to kind of transition to a new team and a new system. And Aaron Rodgers is 39, guys. Like, don't get me wrong, it has happened before. Like, Peyton Manning didn't need a full year, and Aaron Rodgers is definitely on Peyton Manning's level. The Jets are already a good team, like the Broncos were, so I'll give Rodgers the benefit of the doubt that he could be up there for now. But, you know, we'll see before I put him in, like, the elite category, right? And then there's Trevor Lawrence. Like, he is good. He's real good. He's just not quite elite yet, I think. But I definitely think he could take that step this year. So, you know, jury's still out a little bit on Trevor Lawrence, but only in the idea of, like, is he amazing or is he just really good? Next up is the insane talent tier. Guys who I totally think could be elite one day. And elite's a highly reserved word for me, which I'll get to here in a second. I'm just not totally sold on these guys just yet as being, like, you know, that top tier, right? Lamar Jackson is a guy who actually I wasn't even sure about putting him up this high in the first place. Like, I know he won unanimous MVP like 4 years ago, but what has he done since? Like, he's special, don't get me wrong, he is a very special player. I just need to see more from him as a passer before I put him up in that top category, right? Like, his passing has just been so inconsistent that, like I said, I struggled even putting him up this high. Same goes for Justin Herbert. Like, he's probably more naturally talented than a guy like Joe Burrow, and he could carry the Chargers to a Super Bowl on his back one day. I think he's got some work to do before he's actually ready to actually do that, right? Same goes for Josh Allen. Like, he's right there with Mahomes talent-wise, but he just shoots himself in the foot way too often. He doesn't get it done when it really matters. He's got the potential to replace Jim Kelly as the best Bills quarterback ever. I just think he needs to step up to the plate a little bit more consistently. Finally, the top tier of all, the NFL's elite quarterbacks. And like I said, I've always been highly conservative about the word elite. You know, I think calling more than 2 players at any given time in the NFL elite kind of devalues the term. Like, you can't have 5 guys who are the best of the best. Otherwise, it's not the best of the best. It's just the best, you know? Like, that's not what elite means. Usually, I like to keep it to 1, but sometimes you've got 2 all-time greats playing at the same time. Right now, you got Patrick Mahomes and you got Joe Burrow, and they're 1A, 1B for me, really. Like, I'll give the slight nod, even though I'm a Bengals fan, I'll give the slight nod to Patrick Mahomes because of his raw talent alone, but Joe Burrow is an absolute mental freak of the game, guys. Like, he may not be an athletic freak, he may not be a physical freak, but he's got that mind that just sets him on a transcendent level in the NFL. Mahomes, he's one of those rare guys who has all of the natural talent in the world and found a way to maximize it at the NFL level. Like, a lot of times guys like that don't find a way to maximize it, and Mahomes has, so I gotta give him credit for that. Really, whichever quarterback you go for is just a flavor preference at this level, right? Most fans aren't going to consider Joe Burrow to be on Patrick Mahomes' level until he wins a Super Bowl. Like, a lot of y'all are probably going to call me a homer in the comments for putting these two on the same tier, right? Most tier lists that I've seen coming out lately do not consider them to be in the same category, right? But the problem is, if you do that, you're putting Joe Burrow in the same category as Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. Like he's constantly falling short in big moments or something like that, right? Like, I can think of 1, maybe 2 big moments that Joe Burrow has fallen short in. That's obviously the Super Bowl, which he definitely fell short in that Super Bowl. And then there's last year's AFC Championship, which I actually think Joe Burrow put up a pretty good fight, and then, like, the defense lost it at the end, right? It's like, some of y'all act like Patrick Mahomes is already on Tom Brady's level, and that's just silly. Don't forget that Pat's been in the league longer than Joe Burrow has been. If Joe Burrow wins the Super Bowl this year, which is very possible, then he's on the same pace as Patrick Mahomes. So I'm sure that y'all are going to have plenty to say about what I just said over the last 10 minutes or so, right? Chew me out all you want in the comments below, and I'll feature the best ones in my next video, like this one from James Desharness 9400, who said on my video about the Browns championships that we have 6 Super Bowls. Neither team can talk. Those championships weren't even the Browns. That Browns team became the Baltimore Ravens, so it's the Ravens who have those championships, not the Browns. And first of all, like, I said that in the video, James. Like, I know Thomas probably didn't like it very much, but I said that in the video. Second of all, here's my impression of Steelers fans. You young whippersnappers don't know about the glory days of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Why, back in my day, we had to walk 15 miles uphill both ways in the snow to watch the Steelers win the Super Bowl on our rabbit ears. Oh, and did you hear about that Nixon guy? What a slimy politician. I hope Jimmy Carter ends up beating that Ford guy. Fuck you. But anyway, regardless of which side of things y'all fall on, I appreciate all of you watching, and I hope to see y'all in the next video. Until then, y'all can always catch more of what I do at KylePhelps92 on Twitter, Facebook.com/ThePhelps, Butt Fumble Sports, the Battle of Ohio podcast on the Spot Pod Network, and right here if you subscribe. I look forward to seeing the creative ways that y'all choose to respond to this one, right? So I'll leave y'all, as always, with a hoo-day!